Everybody. Thanks for coming. Were most of you in the meeting this morning? Did you hear Charlie's recap? Yeah, there's a lot of information. If you haven't had a chance to watch the vision speech from Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, there is there's a link to it. I can send out to you, or they can post it on the Facebook group. I can post it there. But it's a really great overview of what's happening in the market across the country and the factors that are contributing to that. And Charlie gave us a really great overview this morning. So if you did miss his overview, at the very least, it's worth going back and watching that on the YouTube channel once that's up, or from the Facebook page. So I thought some of what he said in there really made me think in sort of a different way about lead generation. And I know that that's something that you've been working on if you've been in productivity classes with Janine, and there's a lead generation boot camp this week with Fair Hinton Group, just to really get rocking on your lead generation. One of the things that I find to be more challenging when it comes to lead gen, also known as building relationships with people, connecting with people, is the mentality you have behind it. And we talk about that a lot in these classes, and I keep coming back to it because it is something that continuously can challenge you in your business. So is there anybody here, just show of hands in the comments, in the chat, how many people like lead generation? Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you find it challenging. Just shoot it in the text, in the chat. I'm really curious how many people are really loving lead generation and how many people find it to be challenging. So pre-COVID, I loved lead generation because it was all happening in person. It was being out and socializing. It was going to somebody's housewarming party. It was, going to my favorite restaurants and talking to the people I know who work there. But right now, that's a lot harder because for me, not doing it in person is not my favorite thing. I'm not the call 100 people a week person. That's just not my favorite thing. And honestly, my audience finds it very weird if I'm calling them. They much prefer to be texted or find, other ways of communication. So the thing that I've really turned to is a few other things that I was doing on a regular basis, and I'll talk about those a bit today too. But I think the point is to find something that is your path of least resistance, something that you like doing. Lead generation should not be something you dread. It should not be something that's painful, because if it is, what's going to happen? Are you going to do it? No, you're not going to do it. You're going to avoid it at all costs. You're going to do other things instead of using your time for that. Hey, Betsy, can you go on mute, please? I can't wait till we're in person, you guys. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so the point being, you're going to have to do some extra work with lead generation now than you used to, right? It's if you were around pre-COVID. If you weren't, this is always what you've known, and what a great advantage for you because you're working in a more challenging time. If you can succeed now, you can succeed anytime. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the things that you like doing, the things that you are motivated to do, the things that don't require all of your energy and all of your willpower, right? So what are some things that you've been doing to connect with people, and how have you kind of found things that get you excited? What are you doing that you actually like doing?
For me, I've just been going through, I just graduated college, so I'm still relatively young. So I've just been going through a list of my parents' friends and writing handwritten notes to them, kind of using it as both lead gen and just letting everybody know that I'm now starting my professional career in this industry.
That's awesome, Charlie. How is that going? Are you getting any feedback yet?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't written as much as I want. But I got to get better at time blocking. And then I've had a few conversations with people who have received them, and it's been fun. Kind of gets the conversation going anyways.
Yeah. Do you have a certain number a week that you're trying to do?
Yeah, I usually try to, I'm not like trying to work myself into the ground, even though I should be, but I'm probably trying to do 20 a week. And then I'm on the other
Okay.
side, I just send texts to my brother's friends who are like late 20s, so first time home buyers, just because like a handwritten
Perfect.
letter for them kind of isn't really the way that we communicate. So just a text or a call to them.
Yeah, that's great. And do you typically plan like a phone call follow-up to the people you've sent those handwritten notes to, since knowing that audience, they're probably more phone
I
people
haven't, but
than
I
maybe
should.
others?
Yeah.
Cool. That's a great plan. And Charlie, you make a really good point that, figuring out the way that different audiences prefer to be communicated with goes
Mhm.
a long way. I also love writing handwritten notes. Surprisingly, a lot of the people I send them to are not my parents' age, and they love getting them because how often do you get like fun mail, right?
Yeah.
But it is a nice conversation starter. So having a chance to just shoot a text and say like, "Did you get my card?" or give a call and say like, "Hey, it's Charlie. I just wanted to see if you got my note in the mail." They'd probably be more than happy to chat with you. And that can be a good chance to ask them if they know anybody who's thinking of buying or selling, if they're thinking about it. Um, you're charming. You can fit that into the conversation pretty easily. Awesome. That's great. That's a great thing to do. Something of variety can also be a way to make lead generation more pleasant. So if those of you out there are thinking like, oh, I have to sit down every morning and I have to call this many people in this time block, that's not necessarily the way you have to go about it. So like Charlie, he's doing 20 notes a week ideally. If he breaks that down, he's going to do that maybe 5 days a week. That's only 4 notes a day. That's very doable. If that's the first thing he does when he sits down at his desk in the morning, he's uninterrupted, he gets it done, he sends them out. That's the way to do it. Make it a really specific time, make it very digestible, very doable, and be consistent about it. I try to set 1 day a week when I do my notes, and it has become more challenging to keep that time blocked, but it is super important, and I do get feedback from people about it. Also, if you send something in the mail to people who are on social media, you can make a note in there and say like, post about this and tag me when you get it. And you could do something fun with it. You could ask them to post their favorite thing about where they live or something like that in the note, and then have them post about it and tag you in social media. So that could in turn connect with more people. For me, social media is a big one. Since I'm not connecting with people as much in person anymore, that's a thing that I enjoy doing, and has really worked well to connect with people who I might not have their contact information. So I'm reaching an audience that, for the most part, are within my sphere, but there are some people who are kind of peripherally connected or totally outside of my sphere. And it's an opportunity to have a way to message with them at the very least. Um, I know that Grady did a project that was a great way to get more contact information from people other than just their social media handles. I don't know if you want to talk about that, or if anybody else has done something similar with a drawing or a raffle. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Grady.
so I actually went through the pivot group and like just kind of searched how people did it, and there was like a 3-minute video on how to set it up. So you use Google Forms, and basically you just type in like all of your questions, just keeping them very simple, kind of like multiple choice, and then you can leave a comment at the bottom, and then you just kind of go from the people that are, yes, I'm really interested in buying, selling, or investing, and then categorizing them to no, I'm not. So you just kind of I guess base your follow up on that. That's kind of how I did it. I forgot how many responses I had, but I didn't hit my goal for the responses. But I mean, still, it was a good turnover from people that are
Yeah.
actually like out looking.
So you gave them an opportunity to win something in a drawing. You sent them a link where they had to fill out a brief survey and include their information. And then you had all of their details. So whoever you chose that won, you could then send them the certificate or contact them by text or email.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Handwritten note
Yeah,
with the gift certificate. You get their
perfect.
address. Yep.
That's great. How many people are more than happy to give their address to somebody who's like, hey, I want to send you something fun in the mail? Whatever it is, here's my
Yep.
address. Right?
Yep.
People are all about it. They don't give fun mail very often. So it's not as weird as you would expect to ask people for their address, but it's a lot more encouraging, or feels less awkward if you can say like, I want to send you something fun, or I'm doing a drawing, I just need your info so that if you win, I can send it, send the prize to you. There are a few different ways you can go about that are more fun, that could be very specific to what you're known for. Like Tom likes playing tennis. If Tom did a drawing for something related to tennis and sent it out to all of his friends who he knows through tennis or Sphere or other friends, they're like, oh, tennis, that's so Tom. And he can connect tennis and something with home. Maybe it's win a little practice at home tennis kit, or win a pass to, or a gift certificate to a store that's like near your neighborhood, the area he's trying to farm. So there are ways where you can connect what you are known for or what you're passionate about with homes, real estate, home searching, any of those things. There are ways to connect those together. And doing a drawing is such a simple way to reach out to people. If you are on social media, or if you have email addresses, to say, I'm doing this fun thing. I'd love to get your info so that you can be included. And people are generally pretty open to doing that. If you've got a sphere of people where you have maybe just their phone number and not their address, honestly, just sending them a text message to say like, hey, I want to send you something fun in the mail, and then like do something cute. It doesn't have to be really expensive. During the beginning of the pandemic, I mailed out cards, handwritten notes that had just a little sachet of tea in them. And it was like stress-free or breathe easy or something like that. And it was just a little like, thinking of you, here's a little something to help you get through the stressful days. It was very simple, very affordable. So you don't have to be super elaborate about it. It's not a bad idea to have some note cards that like have your info and stuff on them, and you can get those pretty affordably, either through Command or through Vistaprint or local printer. But even just like an inexpensive set of cards from, Walgreens or Target would be totally affordable and definitely worth your time and investment. Then it's just a matter of your time. But if that's more your jam, like do something like that. If you have terrible handwriting, then maybe don't do that, or type something up. Make it something that's going to be not hard for you to do, or something that you could have someone help you with. So if you've got a kid at home who has good handwriting, or you've got a babysitter who loves making a little extra money, and it's really affordable to have them do some stuff for you, like stuff envelopes, there are ways to do those things, even if that's not your super favorite thing to do. And the investment of time and money into these projects is quite minimal compared to the response that you can get. For those of you who have done some of these projects yet, have any of them led to a current active or a client who purchased or sold a home with you? Have you seen that come to fruition yet?
Actives, but nothing closed.
Okay, active's good. Great. And did they come to you and say like, hey, because you reached out, I thought this would, I'm really thinking about this and I want you to help me with purchasing or selling a home?
Yeah, in the follow-up, for sure, absolutely.
Cool. So that's a good point too. So it's not just about reaching out or getting their contact information and then you're done, or reaching out, getting their contact information, and then you're like really busy, and then you kind of forget about them, and then there's stuff you'd rather do, and then suddenly it's been 2 months since you got their information. The key is follow-up. And that can be simple. That can be shooting a text message over to somebody, or it can be, you're on the hot sheet every day in MLS and you find a house that's just either really cool or kind of strange, or maybe in their neighborhood, something that makes you think of them, and you can just shoot them the link to that home. Who doesn't love looking at houses, right? So, this is like crazy high budget, but I just thought you'd really appreciate this mid-century modern in Fox Point. Or, hey, this house is in your neighborhood. I thought you'd be curious what it's listed for. Here's what I think it'll sell for. Here's a link. Little things like that as follow-up are things that you can do very intentionally and continues the conversation, and more than anything, keeps you top of mind. That's the goal, is not just making connections with people, is not just having their contact information. It's staying top of mind, the first person they think of when they think about real estate, because everybody knows several real estate agents, right? There's tons of us. So it's about standing out in a good way in their head and being in constant contact in a non-salesy, genuine, non-obnoxious way. So there is a bit of an art to it, but there are things you can do that are a little more subtle. If you are on social media, I find that to be a great way where I'm not directly contacting people, but it's out there and it's there for them to see. And so it's just that gentle reminder. And then I can reach out to them directly and say like, oh my gosh, did you see my post today? This bathroom in this house was crazy. And that wallpaper made me think of you because of blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of things you can do to link those touches together and have things to talk about instead of feeling like you're just calling and being like, hey, so do you know anybody who wants to sell real estate? Like it doesn't have to be that awkward. You can continue the conversation based on other touches, and having a combination of different ways that you're reaching people can make that feel more natural. And if you missed them, if you sent a postcard and they didn't really see it, then you can, call them or text them, and then you're catching them that way. So people are busy, they're overwhelmed. All of our brains are Swiss cheese from COVID times. So, finding ways to remind them that are pleasant, genuine, enjoyable, coming from contribution, that's really the key. So it's all about finding the stuff that you like doing. Has anybody else, Paula, what have you done? I've seen you've had some really awesome success in the last 12 months. I'm curious what you've been doing to get more clients.
Hey, thanks, Amanda. You're putting me on the spot here. I'm just kidding. I joined a new team. It totally changed my mind. We get a lot of leads from them. A lot of them are from Zillow. We do have a separate campaign that does Facebook, Google, and a whole bunch of other, campaigns online, and we get the calls automatically. So we just pick them up and try to capture them, try to serve them in the best way possible. Sometimes they're ready to buy right away. Sometimes they're not, but we guide them through the process and try to get them to stick around with us, which a lot of the times.
Yes, ma'am.
Which a lot of the times is not that easy because they don't know you, but you try to establish a relationship with them, over the phone, listen to what their needs are, and try to make sure, you keep going back to them, and get them whatever it is they need, whatever information.
So are you putting them into like a specific plan as far as how often you're reaching out or how you're reaching out, or how do you do that follow-up?
I'm very bad at doing that. We do have a program that the team is paying for. It's called Sync instead of using Command. It's very robust, so it's kind of hard to figure it out compared to Command. Command is actually pretty simple and clean. This is something I really like about it. So I'm trying to use it. You could definitely put in notes, and you can put them in campaigns and all of that, which I do try to do that when I haven't been able to reach out to them. But when I do reach out to them, I just try to stick with them. And I don't have a good system for it, but I need to definitely work on that.
Okay, cool. So having that follow-up being such an important piece to it, and figuring out maybe a way to have something that automatically goes out, and then also touching, more intentionally, personally in between. Cool. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot.
You're welcome.
Nobody has warning. It's fair game, even if your camera's off, y'all. So the thing that I want to keep coming back to is you've got to figure out something that you're actually going to do, right? Paula was mentioning the program that she's looking into that our team uses. It's pretty complicated. It's got a lot to figure out, and Command being more simple is more appealing. I mean, if you're on a team, talk to your team lead and figure out what they would prefer that you do. But if you've got a path of least resistance, follow it, right? So much of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis to build our business, that working on our business, not just in our business with transactions, that working on your business piece is so important. If you only work in your business, you get a contact with a person, you build that relationship, you have a consultation, buyer or seller, you get it listed or you get them out on the market, you get an accepted offer, you get them through the process, and then suddenly you have nobody again. And then your income is super inconsistent, and what you have going on is very inconsistent. It's not sustainable, it's exhausting, and it's terrifying, right? Like you get a check and then you're like, oh God, the next one's going to be like 90 days from now. That's not great for you or your business, or your clients, quite frankly. So it's important that while you're in those transactions, that you're also working on your business. So establishing these habits early, establishing these blocks of time early, getting these systems in place. And I'm not talking complicated. I'm talking 4 notes a day. I'm talking touch 3 people through social media a day. Whatever it is, you know, do as many as you can to start with. Spread out your roots as far as you can, because then your tree is going to be that much bigger, right? Planting as many seeds as you can mean that eventually they're going to come to fruition. I can speak from experience. I'm in year 6 and people just constantly keep flowing to us. It is never ending. It's wonderful. And we're getting mostly referral and repeat business from our sphere past clients. You know, occasionally people who find us on social media. So planting seeds in different areas, planting seeds in different ways, connecting with as many people as we can in a genuine way, making those personal touches at occasions along the way and not just automating things, I think is really key for us. And it really comes down to, like Paula said, you know, finding out what's important to them, finding out what they need. If they're like, I don't really need anything right now as far as buying or selling, but you know, working on this kitchen project right now and I'm trying to get an electrician. Well, be that person for them, be their resource. You know, Charlie mentioned today, you know, you want to be the go-to for more than just purchasing and selling homes. You really want people to come to you for all things home related and community related and neighborhood related. And that will keep you top of mind. That will give them reasons to reach out to you. It'll give you reasons to reach out to them. It's more communication, it's more touches. That's how you stay top of mind. So building these habits in place early when you have time, when you don't have tons of clients under contract or active, is huge. And then sticking with those systems is really going to grow your business. You're really going to see results from that. And you're going to fall off the horse. You're going to go off track on a week or a day or a couple of weeks. That's fine. You're human. You know, all you have to do is get back on. Just get back in place with what those things are that are getting you results. And also know that those results aren't going to be instantaneous, right? Like you might get somebody who's like, oh, you know what? Actually, we're thinking about selling our house. Would you like to come look at it this week? And that's awesome. Those will happen. Those random, feels like it fell in your lap, amazing opportunities will happen. But there's also going to be people who are like, well, I'm kind of thinking about it, but maybe a couple of years, or they're like, yeah, I think I want to look at houses, and you get out there and then you realize they really aren't ready. It's why having a buyer consultation and a listing presentation or consult are so important, to figure out their motivation, their time frame, all those things. And you can do that by Zoom now. It's so much more acceptable to do just like a quick, easy, hey, let's just check in. But you know, you've got people at all different points in the process, and that's good. Charlie said today, you want to be planning and preparing for not just a great year, but a great career. So you should have people who are a year out, 2 years out, thinking about it, not sure yet. You should have people at all different levels of potential or current or under contract or recently closed clients, because any of those people could become a current client or send you one at any point in time. So knowing that you have more coming is very relaxing. It's reliable. It keeps your business consistent. It's going to help you feel motivated to reach out to new people. So if you talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm not really looking for a realtor right now, totally fine. Still an opportunity, still somebody who could refer you, still somebody who could give you feedback on, you know, the experience they had with their agent or what their plans are. You know, looking for information, listening to people coming from contribution goes a long way. It really does. People don't listen to each other very much anymore. And people don't take the time to ask those good questions. And people love talking about themselves. They love it. Ask them anything about themselves, and I'm sure they'd be happy to talk about it. Your relationship depends on what questions you're asking and how you're asking them. But it really is about being in touch with as many quality relationships with people as you can, and in a genuine way, and in a variety of places. So not just your neighborhood, not just your church, not just, whatever hobby you have, reaching all those different people in your life or recently past life, to have those potential relationships grow into something that benefits your business and can benefit them too, is really key. So really, if you're feeling like, where do I start? I don't even know where to start. One good place to start is to just write down all of the things you're involved in, all of the communities you're a part of, all of the groups that you're connected to. And if you're really targeting, Charlie mentioned this morning, the average age of a buyer is 39, the average age of a seller is 45. So who do you know in that age range? Are they more likely to maybe sell or buy? Right now, you have the perfect opportunity because the market inventory is so incredibly tight. People can get amazing prices and a severe lack of contingencies, a very smooth transaction if they're selling their home. So if you know anybody who might be in that category, maybe they're empty nesters, maybe they've talked about moving to a warmer climate, whatever it may be, that may be a great reason to reach out to them and say, here's some stats on what's happening. Here's, the inventory we're dealing with. This could be a great opportunity for you. I'm coming from contribution. If I can help you get there, I can talk more about, why this is beneficial to you. I just don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. So you've got a really good excuse in that. And listings, like Charlie says, listings have babies, listings attract buyers, listings show the neighbors what a great job you did. And when you're new and you have time, you can really do a thorough job taking care of your clients, whether they're buyers or sellers, and that will go a long way. It's not just about getting them to the point of being under contract or of signing buyer agency or a listing contract with you. It is all the way through that process and what you do after. That's all lead generation too. How you take care of people, what you do for them along the way, what you do as follow-up, that you don't just disappear. There's a high percentage of people that would use their real estate agent again. It's always around 85 to 90% of people that would use their real estate agent again. But there is a significant percentage of people that can't remember who they are. They can't remember their name. They can't remember their contact information. You've got to stay in touch to continue to grow that relationship. It's not just like they close and you're done. It's not just like you get them signed on an accepted offer and you're done. This is all part of that relationship building, lead generation. It's a great time to ask them to send you referrals. They're in the middle of it. It's exciting. They're talking to their friends about it. Great time to get people to share your information with others. So their point being, having a number of different ways that you're reaching out to people, reaching out to a number of different groups of people within your life, your sphere, your extended life, or an area where you want to work is important. And being consistent is a huge, huge part of that. So keep it simple to start with. Don't go overboard. If 36 touch is like way too much to start with, pull some key pieces out of 36 touch and do 5 or 6. Just do one. I'm just doing notes. I'm going to do notes for the next 3 months, and I'm going to phone call follow-ups, and that's all I'm doing. Really focus in on something that you can get done, you can do on a consistent basis, you like doing, you can afford to do, there's no excuses, you're going to actually do it. That's the key. If you've read The One Thing, or if you haven't, they talk about breaking things down to the smallest domino, the one little bitty step, the simple, easy, low resistance, high impact thing you can do that's going to knock down bigger dominoes. So if that's your one thing that you focus on to start with, great. Then build up to your 36 touch. 36 touch is great. It's very effective. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're starting out part-time, you barely have your database built, you're just trying to like get things going on your business while you're working in your business, then something very simple is a great place to start. It's better than nothing, right? So figuring out something like that that's very simple that you can do consistently is huge. Having talked about this a little bit, is anybody getting some ideas or making plans in their minds of something that they want to try doing for the next quarter or maybe the rest of this month? Come on, I know you got something. Anybody going to try handwriting notes? Oh, I hear someone.
I'm not
I
gonna-
have done some notes and I'm planning an event down by my place too.
Awesome. What's your event, Bethany?
It's a celebration of our dogs event that got us through COVID the last year and stuff like that. So I have some vendors that are like dog friendly businesses or have like dog food, dog treats kind of a thing. And we're gonna have kind of like booths and raffles and just promoting to the local area right around here, and people are going to stop by. It's going to be a meet and greet with the dogs and the people, and put your name in for prizes, which is how I'm going to collect contact information.
Great.
And it should be fun.
Where is this happening?
Right down where I live in the 3rd Ward.
Awesome.
At my
like in the
building.
park? At your building?
No,
Okay,
right at
cool.
my building. Yeah, we have a party room that has amazing street access. So I'm going to have it right on the corner there.
Sweet.
And yeah, it should get a lot of attention, I think.
Awesome. So that's a great example. So Bethany she has a reason to reach out to people. Having an event is more about the invites than it is about the actual event. Having not a lot of people show up is not a failure. It's about how many people you touch leading up to that event and following that event. So having a reason to reach out to a lot of people over something unique, and dogs who, got us through COVID at home, has that connection to home. And then she's connecting to local businesses. So those folks also know that she's a real estate agent, that she cares about dogs. So those people that they work with that love their pets, and where she lives, the area she serves, she's being intentional about the location. All these pieces are hitting on a lot of those points, right? That's a great idea. I think that's awesome. And being able to have an event going on is such a good excuse to reach out to people. Much like a raffle or a drawing, you can say, I've got this event going on, I'd love for you to come. You can just mention it to people you see in person. You can send out paper invites. You can send an email. You can put it on social media. You've got a bunch of stuff you can post on social later, right? Events are a great way to do that. Laura, it looks like you had something that you're going to work on.
I've got another company that I own. It's a landscape supply company. And every year we send out postcards and with a coupon. So this year I'm sponsoring the postcards. So my real estate logo and everything is on there as a sponsor because we get a huge turnaround with the coupons. So then everybody that we mark as a coupon sale, I'll be able to follow up with and see if they're pretty in their yard to sell.
Nice. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. And also a great connection to home, right? Or even if you've got people who are looking to purchase a new home, you're like, oh my gosh, I'll get you this great coupon for my company. You're just one more go-to for something, and you're coming from contribution, and you've already got that system in place. So it makes it easy. It's something you've done before, path of least resistance, and you've got a good mailing list for that, I would imagine too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we've
That's
got
a great idea.
very large. And all he did was you just used the same cards we send out every year and just added me into it. So
Awesome.
it'll be something that everybody's looking for.
That's great. That's really great. Yeah, having something that has a track record of proven success or something that is going to be appealing to people, link onto that. Why not? If you're part of an organization that does an event every year or is doing something virtual this year, maybe you jump on as a sponsor. And being a sponsor can be a very affordable way to become involved or to get on a mailing list. So I think that's a good one too. Paula, what do you have?
I actually have a question. I went door knocking in the 53219 zip code in where that house got the 46 accepted offers. And it wasn't for me necessarily. It wasn't for me necessarily. It was for the team. They wanted to learn how to door knock, and I'm the one with the most experience besides Tim. And so I took him down there, and we didn't really have a good turnaround when it came to like people actually opening up their doors. It was at 9:30 in the morning. It might have been too early, but I'm just curious if anybody has door knocked lately, and if it's a good idea to do that. Because my idea, because if you have a neighborhood that you want to pick, what I did last year that somebody else shared with us was a card saying, like, I understand that COVID has been crazy, like, here's like a seeds to plant flowers, in the spring, and then like tea, or something like, for stress, like you mentioned, so like just door knock and just give that out to everybody. But I don't know if people are actually opening doors, being, what I mean?
Yeah. I personally haven't been doing that. I mean, to be honest, it's not my favorite thing. So it's not the first thing I do, but I love the idea of reaching out to people in the neighborhood where a house got 1,000,000 offers, right? There was legit a house that got 46 offers, arguably probably priced a little lower than it should have been, but there's certainly buyers for that neighborhood. So you already know there's an audience. Why not reach out to people in that neighborhood? The day I showed that house, I drove past a past client's house in the neighborhood, and I texted them right away. And I was like, just so you know, they weren't ready to sell, but now I'm top of mind again, right? So door knocking, has anybody had experience with that in the last 12 months that can speak to how people have responded? I find people to be much more hesitant to have any face-to-face unless they know the reason why. But making it a knock on the door but leave something behind. Did you do like a door hanger or anything like that? Okay. So at least then they're seeing that you were there and that this is what you offer and this is why you were there. I think that puts people a little more at ease, and it's a 2-4, right? So if you get somebody opens the door, bonus. If you don't, you've delivered something directly to them. So I see that not as a failure. And that's the kind of thing you might see come back around longer term, and would require probably some consistent follow-up, much like anything with farming a certain neighborhood. You have to consistently follow up so that when you do show up at their door and maybe they're more comfortable with it, they're like, oh, I've gotten your face in the mail like 6 times, then you're a familiar entity. It becomes a little more comfortable.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, good idea though. And any of you can go around and find out, what houses have accepted offers immediately. Check in with an agent that has a house under contract for sale in the area where you want to serve, and just say, could you just tell me how many offers you had? That sort of information is really valuable and not something that people typically have if they're not in real estate. So you're automatically an expert, right? You know how many offers they had. You can speak to this underpricing that's happening in the market. What buyers are willing to do to get an offer accepted. You've got Charlie's stats about the inventory we have right now, about showings, about market absorption rates. You've got all those details, so you can prepare a quick little elevator speech to have it ready, or you can type it up and send it to them. There's ways that you can take advantage of what's happening in the market, even if it's not your listing. Just be careful about not making it seem as though it is your listing. That can get you in hot water. But there are things you can do to speak from the perspective of a real estate professional, and provide information that's of benefit to them. So that's a good idea. Anyone else have something they're gonna put into practice, or maybe they intended to and haven't really, but they should probably get back to it, or they're running into roadblocks that is causing them to not so much do it?
Well, with the weather getting nicer, I will try to get to the dog park more. It sounds really weird, but like there's always people there. So like to piggyback off Bethany's event, that like sounds like just like to pop in my head, I'm like, oh my goodness, like that's gotta have like a good turnout because everybody has a dog. It seems like in my neighborhood or around the area. So it can just like commandeer, my parents' dog in addition to our dog. And
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. We've got a delay. Let's see. Is that better?
I think my head died there. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
So I
Those-
like the point that it's something you regularly do already. So you're not like suddenly showing up at the dog park and people are like, who's this dude? If you bring with you maybe a little dog treats in a baggie that has your contact information in it, or, you know, a coupon for a pet store nearby, or like a poo bag with some, you know, like you could do something really inexpensive that would be useful to them. And you could even put like a funny pun with it. You know, you can make a little card with your info and be like, you know, this it's a, you know, not a crappy market for selling your home or something like that. You could be creative and yet tasteful.
Yeah.
But you could do something like that for a place you usually go. You could have little somethings you keep in your car, and then when you're in that place, you can just have them to hand out to people. You know, it might be weird if you do something like that at the grocery store or a restaurant, but like if you go to tennis practice, if you go to the dog park, if you are in a running club, whatever it is, something like that could be really easy because then you're face to face with people and you're coming from contribution with a little something. So it's kind of like the door knocking idea, but you have a captive audience right there and you have some connection already. You're not a complete mystery person to them or a stranger danger. So that would be a good way to connect with people in an area where you already are. Or if you choose to have an event, that's a great place to hand out invitations. So that's a really good point, Grady. Yeah, just something that you normally do or a place that you usually go and having something on hand to be like, oh, this is a valuable thing I can give you. And it happens to have my information on it.
I do that. I have been doing it the past year. My friends, part of their business is dog food, dog treats. And so we've kind of partnered for promotion and they give me little packets of dog treats and I have a little slip with, you know, because everybody knows our dog walking around. That's how we meet like everybody. So these are
Nice.
little dog treats from our dog to their dog. And
Cute.
I have my information on there and I haven't really got anything off of it, but it's kind of like, I think it's kind of the long run, just kind of keep
Mhm.
putting it out there and it gives us a reason to stop and talk and maybe
Yep.
it'll work someday.
Yeah. When you bump into people, Bethany, do they ask you about real estate or the market or anything like that?
Usually what happens is, you know, our dogs play and this and that. And I'm like, oh, I have some treats. And then I give them the spiel about my friends have the dog treat company and I'm an agent. We've, you know, started partnering and, you know, sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, we were not thinking of buying right now, but you know, something comes up about the market and I can talk about, yeah, it's been really crazy out there. And,
Mhm.
you know, it's usually something comes up. But I just need to be, you know, more top of mind because I can't tell you how many of our dog friends will run into and they'll be like, oh, we're moving in a month. We just bought a house and, you know, try to be graciously happy for them. And I know
Mhm.
everyone knows like 10 million agents, but I'm just hoping one of these days, you know, I'll be the one that they decide to talk to because I'm the nice dog lady.
Yeah. Well, and you may want to consider adding a little bit of info to that slip. So whether it's just like, you know, how the absorption rate of condos in the area, the average price per square foot, you know, I serve, you know, this many areas, so they don't just think you're only the third ward lady.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of information that you could easily include in there that's not like tremendous, you know, just a little something, some
Right.
little stats or something like that to show that you know what you're talking about, will give you a lead into conversation. Instead of just being like, I'm an agent, you could say, like, I'm a realtor, and there's some handy little details in there if you're ever thinking about buying or selling here or in other areas. Like, there's just some stats for you to have for reference or something like that.
Right.
You know, if you want more,
Yep.
if you want updated ones, just shoot me a message. So it leads naturally into a conversation, and would be simple to do just to add a little something to that.
Right. Yep.
Cool. I love that you have those at the ready though. I keep door hangers in my car that are blank. They have my contact information on them and my logo. They're kind of in my colors. But then there's a white space on them. And anytime I'm in the area, if it's a past client or a family friend or something like that, or if I happen to be in a neighborhood where there's an awesome house that a client might like or whatever it is, I've got these door hangers at the ready and I can just fill it in my car, stick it on their doorknob, I may knock or ring the doorbell if I have time or if I think they might come to the door, but at the very least I've left something. So that's another thing that I find to be pretty handy and is less likely to get lost because it hangs on their door and you can get those pretty affordably. Having something like that as a grab easy kind of thing, you can prepare them in advance or you can have someone do that for you. And then you've just got them at the ready. So something that's non-perishable is ideal. But having something that you can give that comes from contribution, just a little something, can go a long way. So anyone else have something they're going to try or they've picked up from our class today?
You were just saying about door hangers. I do keep in my car little hand sanitizers that I got from Bath and Body with my business card. They're in a little red bag. And then just a little thing saying, if you're looking for a clean new beginning, reach out, give me a call. So
nice.
I hand those out. I've gone to companies that I've worked at in the past and handed them out, but I always keep like 5 of those in my car.
That's a great idea. Awesome.
I just want to say that I love all the ideas as I'm new coming in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, those are such cute ideas where I'm just like handing my card out everywhere I go, like a psycho. But I think that I'm going to make a little bag like that too or something. I love all those ideas that you guys put out there. Those are things that I didn't think about.
Yeah. Thanks, Brittany. That is a good idea. And if there's anything that you're handing out to people that you can put like a sticker on it, or you can get a custom label that will stay, something that has some sticking power to it, that's great too, because then they always see it. So whatever you've given them, it's there, whether it's a pen or hand sanitizer or, something, just sticking your info on it can give it a little bit of lasting power too. So every time they see that, they're like, oh yeah, this came from Bethany. She's so nice. Or, oh, Laura gave us this. So that can help you stay top of mind also.
I've kind of a cautionary tale. So
okay.
As you know, last year I tried to organize my mom's neighborhood with a directory project. So because it was COVID, I didn't knock on doors to do it. And that was like problem number 1. Problem number 2 was, so then I did a mailing. It was 60 households. I asked for information that is I live in a subdivision that has a directory. It's great. Everybody knows each other. We're all kind of friendly with each other. So I put in the same information. Shortly after I sent it out, I got a call from an irate neighbor. Who are you? And how dare you ask for this information from us? And I'd already explained in the letter that I grew up in the neighborhood. My mom still lives there. I'm still connected to the neighborhood. And he was very jerky about it. Let's just say a senior official of the suburb lives in the neighborhood. So I called him up, or I emailed him and I said, hey, what gives? How come people are not replying to this and they're so negative? He said, I thought you asked some very intrusive questions. I asked like their dog's name and if they had kids and stuff like that. I mean, it's not like, when you're used to it in our neighborhood, it's like no big deal at all.
Yeah.
And then, but finally I got a contact back from this one lady who said, I think you have a great idea and we just have some jerks in our neighborhood. So she said, I'll be happy to door knock on your behalf next summer. And so I'm going to take her up on that offer, but
yeah, sometimes
things don't happen right away. And I was really offended by some of the responses that I got back, because it was like, hey, I'm trying to build community. I'm not asking for anything. I'm supplying all the manpower and labor, and people are being so obnoxious about it. It's sort of like, you wonder if people even want to be, neighbors anymore these days.
Some don't. You're going to get a jerk every once in a while. You're going to get a door slammed in your face or a phone hung up in your ear. It's going to happen. There's people who just don't want to be bothered or be a part of it. When we first talked about this project, Alex, one of the things I think that's really important, if you are farming a neighborhood, and especially if you don't live there, but even if you do, or have a contact through family member, is getting buy-in from the neighbors, finding the people who want to help you door knock, finding the people who really want this to happen, get a little committee together and go forth as a group, because if they don't like your approach or don't know who you are, maybe they know somebody else who lives in the neighborhood who's part of this committee, and you can get them to help you out. So, you know, for Bethany, if she lives in her building, she knows other people in the building who are her neighbors that she likes and gets along with. They could help her make that effort if she was doing something building wide. You know, if you can get a little bit more than just one person involved, I think people are less likely to lash out, and they'll see that there are other neighbors who do have interest. You know, if it is a condo building or a subdivision, people can be a little more protective of what's happening in that pocket. And you're just going to get people who are annoyed by what you're trying to do, and you're just going to have to blow them off. You know, thank you for your feedback. You know, have a nice day. That's all you need to say.
That's what I did. My mom's neighbor is very supportive. He's also agreed to let his name be used in everything. So people know me, know I don't give up easily. So that's not the last they've seen of me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building momentum, if you have people who really want this to happen, then you're there to help provide the service and they appreciate it. Then, you know, the few people that don't want to be involved, that's fine. You don't have to be a part of the directory. No big deal.
I literally, and it, you know, it's a weird year. It's a COVID year. I literally got 9 out of 60 responses. It was crazy. So
yeah,
I told those 9 people I'm going to reboot next year and stick tight. So
did you have them fill out like a Google survey, or was it a piece of paper they had to write on, or how did you do that?
It was a piece of paper they had to write on.
Okay.
And
I would suggest doing something easy, like technology wise, that may be more likely for them to do it. I know personally, I got a lot going on. So if somebody sends me a project that requires me to sit down and think about it, and mail it and all that stuff, I'm probably going to set it on a pile and not do it for a while. But if someone's like, hey, just a reminder, here's a, you know, email reminder, or like, here's a link, you can do it online real quick and easy, or, you know, a couple of different times to remind them gently without being too aggressive, can be helpful. I appreciate that, because there are things that aren't my top priority that do end up on the back burner and I don't do right away. So there may be some
starting from scratch. You don't have their email address or anything like that. And I did provide them with stamped envelopes to reply. So I did give them a free postage return, but oh well. Live and learn, right?
Consistency with that, I think, is the key. So just continuing to reach out, you know, coming from contribution, I think is a good way to go. Like, oh, we've got, you know, here's an update. We have this many people a part of the directory. It's really going well. Here's a few people you can contact if you have questions. And then they're like, oh yeah, I need to get that form in. So there are things you can do just by dropping. The
good part is if I succeed, I'll have 60 names. So.
Right. And eventually you probably will. Farming takes a while. Farming is a long game activity, and it requires consistency and time. Absolutely. Yeah. And if that, you know, for those of you thinking about farming an area, or your neighborhood or your building, whatever it is, you know, that can be worth doing, but it's going to be something that you have to plan long game on. So then maybe do something that's more short term, or something where you're more connected to people that is in your sphere, or, you know, through your social media community, whatever it is. Having a variety of things is a good way to go. You know, we've looked into doing a couple of farms a few times now, and ultimately I'm getting so much business from my sphere and from other ways that I'm reaching out to people that it hasn't become my top priority yet. It's something on the back burner. It's a plan that I have for the future. So if you're feeling like I would rather have something shorter term and put most of my energy into that, great. Like, set up your plan for your farm, get that going, and then focus on the shorter term, more likely to turn around quickly. So yeah, it was a fun project idea. I think that could still come to fruition. But you're gonna get people who just don't want whatever you're offering. And that's gonna happen. No matter what you're trying to do to connect with people, you're gonna get people who don't want to talk to you. Don't take it personally. It's just how people are. It's a percentage game, right? There are going to be
one
people
village
who say
official
no.
even went so far as to say, I don't think you're allowed to door knock in our neighborhood. And I actually read this, you know, ordinances, and that's not true. So I told them it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if you can get them on board, you know, I'm just trying to provide a service. I thought this would be helpful. Here's why it worked in my community. You know, if you're always coming from contribution, people tend to put their guard down a little bit more. It's when they think you want something that they're usually a little more resistant. So cool. Well, thank you everybody for sharing your plans or things that you've tried or done. I hope you got some good ideas from this. I definitely encourage you to attend the lead generation boot camp to see what that's all about with Fair Hinton Group this week. Janine is also interviewing Jay Schmidt on Thursday. I'm going to watch that. That's going to be great. And they are going to talk a little about lead gen as well. You know, at the end of the day, this is not complicated. Don't make it complicated. You'll never do it. Just keep it simple. Start with one small domino. Do something consistently that you like doing, that you can do with ease at an affordable price, that you won't be able to have an excuse not to do it, and just do it consistently. Keep it genuine. See how things are going. See if you're getting any feedback on it. Check, you know, as you're going along, is this working? Could I tweak it? Could I run this by somebody for feedback? But it's going to take some time to build up and get those contacts to the point where the people you're connecting with become clients or send you clients. So don't lose hope. Keep it going. And most of all, don't stop doing whatever your plan is. Always be doing something to connect with people. Always be working on your lead generation, but make it fun for you. Make it something that you enjoy doing. Don't just feel like you have only one option for what you can do, and it's something you don't want to do, and it takes a bunch of time, or it's expensive, or it's overwhelming, and then you just don't do anything. So something is better than nothing, and breaking down your big plan into one small thing that you can consistently do is going to lead to results. You're going to see contacts develop into people you're working with. It will happen. You just have to stay at it. You've just got to be consistent about it. And if you're having a hard time planning out what to do, if you feel like you thought of everything, but you just don't think you've got the right, something is missing, you know, bring it to class, connect with each other, ask me questions like this. This is stuff that you might need a little feedback on. You know, stand on the shoulders of giants. Nothing is new in the world, right? Like nothing is new in this business. Somebody's tried it already. Find it on, you know, Grady went to the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group through Keller Williams. Check that out, see what people have done on there. Search our Facebook group for our office to see if anybody's asked questions. You know, put it out to the crowd on our group and ask other people what they've done or what they think of it. You'd be amazed how much people are willing to share feedback about those things. So don't feel like you're going it alone. Don't feel like this is the first time anybody's thought of whatever you're doing. It very likely isn't. And other people may have some helpful tips on what worked for them, or some good questions that you hadn't considered, some things that you could add or refine. And we're all here to help support you in that. We have a great supportive community in Keller Williams. So don't forget about that. And if you're setting up goals for your lead generation, time management and plans, text me and set up an accountability call. I'm happy to help you with that. There's all kinds of things you could be doing. Really, sky's the limit. You can get really creative, which is super fun in my opinion. So I hope this was worth your while. I hope you have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing what you're doing to connect with people and build up your clientele. That lead generation is a huge, huge piece of what we do, even if you're on a team. So don't forget about it. All right, thanks for coming. Have a great week.
Thank you.